Hi everyone, my name is Abby, I'm the current Wavelength director, and this month is APIDA. And if you don't already know, APIDA stands for Asian Pacific Islander Desi American Heritage Month. So in celebration, I thought I would sit down to tell y'all my personal story, being a Chinese American, what that means to me, and how I'm celebrating this year. So my story starts all the way back in China. I was originally born in the Hubei province in Tuangfang, China on August 30th of 2002. And from the minute that I was born, my entire life trajectory was changed. I was actually found on the doorsteps of an orphanage with my umbilical cord still attached, so for the first year of my life, I was actually raised by my foster mom in the orphanage. And then, a year later passed, and in 2003, I was actually chosen to be adopted by the parents that I know today, known as Maria and Brian, or informally known as Mom and Dad. But once I was adopted, we flew 4,511 miles to the most northern state in the United States, which was Alaska. Since then, I was raised there for 17 years of my life, and I still call it home today. So, growing up in Alaska, I never felt completely connected to my Asian community, but that's mainly because I lived in a predominantly white area, so there really wasn't one. Even though the first year of my life I don't remember, I still felt super disconnected and I felt insecure because I didn't have a community around me that looked like me. At the time, I didn't exactly know what this was, but from the ripe ages of probably like 7 or 8 years old, sometime at the beginning of elementary school, I often felt displaced because I wasn't white at all, so I couldn't fully fit in with the white community, but I also felt like I couldn't fit in with any kind of Asian community because I didn't feel authentically Asian. I even felt ashamed to be Asian because I didn't have representation growing up that told me that it was okay to look different than everyone else. It seemed like being white was ideal because that was the only thing that I'd ever seen. Not to mention the comments that I got probably way too young from parents and peers saying that I was a white person in disguise. That definitely messes with you. So stepping back a little bit, I actually had the privilege of going to China in 2013 when I was 10, and it was the coolest experience that I think I've ever had. I got to go with my mom, and I actually was able to go with the adoption group that I was originally adopted with back in 2003. We spent a couple weeks in China learning about the food, the culture, the history, and the people of China, and it was super cool. I even had the chance to go to my birthplace and the orphanage that I grew up in for the first year. And I will say, I did get to meet my foster mom, and that was an out-of-body experience and many tears were shed. That was probably the first glimpse that I ever got with first-hand experience of my culture, and I wouldn't give it up for the world. Now, fast forwarding to the present in Bellingham, I have gained a lot more confidence and sense of identity since I've been here, but obviously there are times when I still struggle to see where I fit in. Are people gonna say that I'm not Asian enough? Do I act too white as a POC? Are they gonna know that I'm not really tied to my culture? Of course, all of these questions fester in my head from time to time, and quite frankly, I definitely have existential crises towards them, because I still feel like there's this sense of guilt and shame around not knowing enough about my culture, even though it wasn't my fault. Because of this, in some ways, I feel like that disconnection never made me feel like I could celebrate my identity because I never felt Asian enough. So today, I thought I would make a traditional Chinese dish called congee in celebration of APIDA month. So let's get to the kitchen. Hey everyone, welcome to my kitchen. So today I thought I would make some congee because my mom actually used to make this for me when I was sick growing up. Congee probably originated all the way back in China in around 1000 BC in the Zhou dynasty. And in the south it was actually called juk. Because rice was so abundant in the area, of course they decided that rice would be a part of this dish. Oddly enough, the word congee is actually a Tamil word, and that refers to the porridge and the water in which the rice has been cooked. And now today, it's still known as congee or juk, and there are so many different variations that people have created. Even though its origins do date back to China, so many different Asian countries actually make a variation of this dish, but it depends on what they want in it. Depending on who you are, you might add some egg, you might add some pork, some chicken, some sweet things, some savory things. It's really up to you to decide what you want in your congee. And I think because of that, it's become such a comfort food in Asia. It's a pretty standard dish with not that many ingredients, and you can kind of make it into whatever you want it to be. So I thought in celebration of my culture, I thought I would actually make some today.
As I said beforehand, there aren't that many ingredients to this recipe. It just depends on the flavorings that you want, and then the most important ingredient you'll want to have is rice. For the specific recipe that I followed, there were 3 different methods, so I went with method 2, which was about a medium thick congee. So it started off with 3/4 cups of rice, and then you always want to wash your rice before you cook it. It might take a few to several rinses, but you have to make sure the water runs clear, but once you do that, your rice should be clean. Once you're done with that, the next step is to actually just soak the rice in water for 30 minutes just to make it a little bit bigger, and then you drain it. After that, the recipe called for 8 cups of water or 8 cups of chicken stock, and I actually had some chicken bouillon, so I was able to make chicken stock. And then you put that rice in there, you let it start boiling, and then once it starts boiling, you're going to turn the heat down from high to low to medium, and then all you have to do is just mix it here and there for an hour and a half. Make sure the lid is a little bit uncovered, and then you should start seeing a porridge-like consistency. Now, about an hour and a half had passed by, and then it was thickened to my liking, and so then I bowled it up. You can see my awesome ladling skills that totally didn't almost miss the bowl. And then here comes the fun part. The recipe called for many different flavorings, but I just ended up going for shallots, ginger, salt, pepper, and sesame oil. But again, you can add anything to this recipe depending on what you like. Here's me with my awesome knife cutting skills, and here's the finished product. I ended up adding a soft-boiled egg.
Alright, y'all. Now time for the taste test. It's so good. Honestly, I was a little bit unsure about all these flavorings together, but this is super good. I don't even think that I've ever made congee because my mom always used to do it. But this is really good, especially with the chicken stock. I'm glad that I added that. I think a big part as to the reason why I made this video is because I wanted to show that culture can come in so many different ways, even in just a little traditional bowl of congee. I think as someone who has been displaced from her culture, it can be really hard to feel like I have a community, but I do. I also feel like a big part of celebrating this month for me is just embracing the fact that we all come in so many different spectrums, and we should all celebrate that. Even though it might be unconventional, I still have a place in my Asian community, and I'm proud to call myself a Chinese Asian American. For those that might resonate with this story or have felt the same things that I felt or have experienced the same things that I've experienced, I just want to say that no matter what, we are still a part of our community. APIDA comes in all different shapes and sizes, and I think that that should be embraced. We should be seen, we should be heard, and we should really embrace our identities, no matter what shape they come in. APIDA celebrates more than 50 different ethnic groups, and I am just one of the many unique experiences and histories of that grouping. There are so many stories to tell and so many opportunities to hear about them. Western will be holding so many different events, and I'll link it here and I'll also put it in the description, that celebrates all of these different identities. On top of that, there will actually be a video at the end of the month that Wavelength will be publishing that talks to other folks about how they celebrate APIDA month. Now, before I end this video, I just wanted to say thank you so much for listening to my story, and happy APIDA month! Now I'm gonna go finish this bowl of congee. See ya.